Okay, so sometimes the Torah says something that seems so outlandish that it's got to be deep. You got to go into it. It's grabbed your attention, and now you have to explore and examine what it's really talking about. One example is in today's parsha, this week's parsha, Kiseitse, where towards the beginning of the parsha, it says the following. The Torah says that when a man has two wives, one of them is beloved and one of them is hated. And the firstborn son will be born to the hated wife. So when it comes time for him to bequeath his money to his children, he cannot make the uh, child that he has from his beloved wife into the firstborn to get the double portion, but he has to give the double portion to his firstborn son who came from his hated wife. Being that in the Torah it says that the firstborn son gets a double portion, double to what all the others get. And in this case, he's got two wives, one he loves, one he hates, but the firstborn is from a hated wife. So he may want to favor his firstborn from his beloved wife. No, you can't do that. The firstborn is from his hated wife, and he has to get the double portion. And that's it. And then goes on to the next topic. So what a strange scenario for the Torah to present. First of all, having more than one wife is also not an ideal. We find it's the exception, not the rule in Torah, even though it was permitted in biblical times, but it was certainly not the norm. But apart from that, to have one wife that's beloved, one that's hated. What a strange family setup. And then it says that it doesn't say if the firstborn son is born from the hated wife. It says the firstborn son will be born from the hated wife. Almost saying if you're going to have two wives, one beloved and one hated, you know what's going to happen? The firstborn son is going to come from your hated wife. And you're not going to be able to favor your other son from your beloved wife. You're going to have to give that son the double portion. What a bizarre scenario. So the Alter Rebbe, as always, captures this and shows how this is not bizarre. It's actually very normal. It's very common. In fact, you're doing it right now. And there's a lot to learn from this exact setup that happened to this interesting family. So have a look in this is Likkutei Torah Parshat Kiseitse, page 74 there, the bottom left paragraph. He quotes the verse when a man has two wives, one beloved and one hated, and the firstborn son will be born to the hated wife. So the Alter Rebbe asks, why does it say the firstborn son will be born from the hated wife? It's if, it might happen, it might not happen. Why is it saying it will happen? And we have to explain this entire episode according to Chassidus, according to the inner meaning of what's going on. Because every part of Torah has to be relevant to every person and has to be meaningful and it has to be purposeful and has to be uplifting. So what is it? So we'll understand this by understanding that each one of us have two wives. And we'll understand this by quoting Rabbi Chaim Vital, the great Kabbalist, student of the Arizal, in his work Shara Kedusha. He says, that every single one of us has two souls. And those two souls are like our two wives. We're married to two entities, to two beings, two souls that reside within us. And this, the Alter Rebbe connects to this story of the two wives in the parasha. It's talking about each one of us. We have two wives, one beloved and one hated. What are these two wives? These two souls? Shtei nefashos. It says in the book of Isaiah, I believe, that I made souls for you, souls plural. So we have more than one soul, not just one. We have two souls within us. And what are they? Nefesh achas nikra nefesh achyunis v'bamis. One soul is called the life force or the animalistic soul. And that soul is enclosed in the circulation, the blood circulation of a person, the warmth of the blood, the energy within our blood that gives us life. It is the literal life force in our body. So when you talk of a soul as being the energy behind your body, giving your body life, this is referring to the lively soul or the animal soul. And that soul, to come all the way down into your body to give your body life, went through many, many stages of evolution. It comes from a very high spiritual source, this soul. It's called the animal soul. It's animalistic, it's instinctive, it enlivens your body, but its source is from an extremely high spiritual place. However, it lost a lot in translation. In its journey down from its source down all the way into your body, it took on many gradations, many forms and garments and coverings, to the point where it is an animalistic urge within yourself. It is a self survival type of instinct within your body. Like it says in the Talmud, that every single blade of grass down here has a mazel, has an angel that is on top of it telling it to grow. So too, every physical thing in this world has a spiritual energy that is giving it growth, giving it development, moving it upwards. And uh, and that also includes your body and your physical self. Your physical self has a spiritual energy giving it existence and growth and development. That is called the animal soul. Ki gavoyim al gavoya v'goyim v'goyim aleiim. And every layer has a layer above it and above it and above it, all the way to its source. So the divine, so it's the animal soul, which is down here in your body that you feel right now as you sit here and you feel a little bit hungry and a bit tired and a bit itchy and a bit bored or whatever, like all the various things that we feel within ourselves. These urges are all the animal soul enlivening our body, and it is at our here and now. Where does that come from, that soul? It comes from a very high spiritual source. Uh, but it's been translated down into my petty little small urges and needs and wants and self-consciousness and everything that I have down here. So through these various stages, these many, many thousands and millions of stages from the source of the animal soul down into my body, going through a contraction and concealment and a dilution and another layer until it's living in my body, which is a physical flesh. So therefore, it's become included in good and evil. It's not all good anymore. It came from a spiritual source, this animal soul. But through its translation into the physical body, it's got so many layers over it that it's not just about me living a life, but it's me living a life that is sometimes selfish, or sometimes indulgent, or sometimes even immoral. Just whatever feels good, just whatever feels comfortable to me. And so from this animal soul comes negative traits in my personality, my weaknesses of my personality, my desires that are inappropriate, my attitudes that are wrong and immoral, my moods, some of which are not very good, anger and arrogance and selfishness, all of these attributes are expressions of this animal soul as it has fallen from its sublime spiritual source down into layers of that which covers over its source and has certain ugliness to it. And also my seichel enushi, my very human way of thinking, my my brain that thinks like a limited human being and only sees that which makes sense to me, what's logical to me. This is all energized by my animal soul. Ki kol nefesh klula b'chabad u'midas. Because every soul, both of the souls we're describing here, and every single soul has within it chabad, intellectual faculties, and emotional faculties. There's the intellect and the emotion of the animal soul. The way my animal soul thinks, its attitudes and its philosophies and its perspective. And then the way it feels, what it's attracted to, what it's scared of, what I'm interested in, what I'm passionate about, what I avoid. all this is it's a full persona. That's what the Alter Rebbe here is saying. That the animal soul is a full persona of intellect and emotion, but animalistic intellect and emotion. What's safe for me? What's good for me? And I can completely ignore any moral rules if something's good for me. That's my animal soul. And so that it's because of this animal soul that a person can go against God's will, God forbid. Which makes no sense. How can you go against God's will? God is your source. God created you. He put you in this world. And he asked you to do this and to avoid that. How could we not listen to that? The answer is because we have an animal soul, which even though it does come from the divine, it's created by Hashem, but it's been lost in translation so much that it now feels separate from that. And I have my own selfish urges. Hashem tells me this, but I want that. And I might follow what I want, not what he wants. Like the Torah says, when a soul sins, a soul sins. Which soul? The animal soul. Your animal soul can sin. Because of all the concealments, all the covering over of that soul, it feels to us like we're a separate entity from Hashem. And that feeling of separateness allows us to go against him. Meaning, if the animal soul would know the truth, and that is that you are created by Hashem, you are sourced in the divine, then it couldn't go against Hashem. How can you? You can't go against your true self, your source, your essence. But the animal soul is disconnected from that truth through the journey it came down from its spiritual source down here into this world. And therefore, we're able to fool ourselves that I'm a separate entity from Hashem, I can do what I want. That is our animal soul. But remember, we're married to two wives. We have two souls. One soul is the animal soul, which we just described. And the nefesh hashenis, the second soul, Yisrael, the second soul that is the essence of the Jewish soul, nikra nefesh alekis, is the divine soul. Chelik l'pamimah, which is a piece of Hashem above. Now, we just said that the animal soul has a very supernal high source. It's created by Hashem and it's expression of Hashem. But now we're saying we have a second soul, and that is a piece of Hashem. Well, the second soul is a piece of Hashem. The first soul is also a piece of Hashem. But there's a difference. The first soul that we described, the animal soul, is a piece of Hashem. Yes, like everything is an expression of Hashem. It's a part of Hashem. Nothing's outside of Hashem. However, the animal soul went through all these gradations of translation, of layers and layers that cover over its essence until it feels disconnected from its source. The second soul, the divine soul, is different. Why? Because the second soul, the divine soul, comes to you without any intermediary stages. There's no translation, there's no evolution of the soul. Directly as it is in its source, it comes down to you. You have inside of you a piece of Hashem, undiluted, not compromised in any way, not translated to this worldly. It is the divine as it is in its essence, down here in you as a part of you. This is your divine soul. Like it says that Hashem created man upright. It's in the book of Koheles, the book of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon says Hashem made man upright. The word upright, yashar, also means direct. That Hashem made us directly. There's a direct part of Hashem that is inserted in us directly, not through translation, didn't come down through the worlds and take on the shape of the worlds that it traveled through. It is directly divine as it ever was, not translated into this world, just plunged into this world, into our body. So we have one soul which has taken on this worldly identity, and we have another soul that is divine in its essence and has remained divine. And that part of us is the altruistic part of us, the part of us that wants to be good, to connect to Hashem, to do what's right. We naturally have inclination towards holiness and spirituality because we have a piece of divine in us. Batamamish, bli muktzoim. Or like we say in our morning prayers, that you breathed into me, you Hashem breathed into me, my soul. Just like it says about Adam when he was created, Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chaim, Hashem blew into him a soul of life. So too we say every morning, Hashem, you blew into me my soul. What does it mean blew? Like a breath that's direct from the person into us, like Hashem has directly breathed himself into us. Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chaim. Commercial hevel ha'adam sheyotze menu. Like a person's breath, when a person breathes out, can he miyuchedes imay b'li hefsek. The breath that you breathe out, it's out. You've breathed it out, but it's your breath. It's still yours. It's still connected to you. You could trace back the breath from where it came from within the lungs, within the person. So too, when Hashem breathes our soul into us, it's His breath in us. It's Him in us. It's a piece of Himself. He's breathing from His inner self into us. Because nothing's outside of Hashem. So when Hashem breathes, it's not breathing out because there's no out of Hashem. Nothing's outside of Hashem. Unlike a person, I'm here and I'm breathing there. When Hashem breathes, it's still in Him. It's His breath, and it's still in Him because He's everywhere. And so therefore the breath, the soul that's in me, which is the breath of Hashem, is Hashem. It's not me, it's Hashem. It's something higher. And so this soul, this second soul, the divine soul, is constantly at one with Hashem. It's constantly a part of Hashem. It's never separated. Unlike the animal soul that feels a sense of separateness from Hashem because of its translation into this world, it's taken on a garment of disconnection from Hashem. The divine soul is not disconnected. It is, as it always was, part of Hashem. And that's a part of me. This is a part of my persona. And from the point of view of the divine soul, it wouldn't be possible for a person to sin or to go against Hashem's will. It's just not possible. How can you? You're a part of Him. You're an extension of Him. How can you go against His will? It's like a part of my body going against what I want it to do. My body follows my will. If I want to move my foot, I move it. If my foot moves without me wanting it, it's like, how did that happen? There must be something wrong. The divine soul is a part of Hashem. It, of course, does what Hashem wants. If we would be living only according to our divine soul, if we would be in touch with that and that would be dominant in our personality, we couldn't possibly go against Hashem. It's only our animal soul, which is disconnected from Hashem, that allows us to go against Hashem's will. Achrishim Yuchedes Tamid over the page. That the divine soul is constantly in contact and in connection with its source, with the divine source that emanates it. It's only because our animal soul covers over our divine soul, blocks it, and doesn't allow us to see the world through the eyes of the divine soul, that is what allows us to sin. That's how we could do the wrong thing. That's how we could be disconnected. As all this is explained in Likutei Amarim in Tanya, which Tanya is indeed built on this concept. So you notice he called the animal soul first, and then the divine soul the second soul. You'd think the pecking order should be the other way around. But there's several reasons why he does that in Tanya and also here. One is because the animal soul gets first dibs. Like we first become aware of our animal soul. From birth, our animal soul is there, present, and we're conscious of it. We're hungry, we're cold, we feel our needs immediately. The divine soul, on the other hand, only really comes in later. It's there from birth, but it only really comes in later on and has any sway in our life later on. They say really Bara Bat Mitzvah is where it starts to have a voice, the divine soul. Until then, we're just an instinctive being. And only at Bar Mitzvah, the divine soul starts to come in. So the animal soul takes root, makes itself at home. That's our consciousness, our awareness, our self, our identity is our animal soul and our needs. And then we introduce the divine soul, but you have a deeper part to yourself. You have a part of yourself that's selfless and altruistic and spiritual, and higher, and a part of the divine. It was there all along, but only really starts to have an influence later. But even deeper than that, he's going to say that the reason why the animal soul is first and the divine soul is second is because there's something about the animal soul that is higher than the divine soul. The divine soul comes second because the divine soul is here to serve the animal soul, not the other way around, as we'll see after the bracket. So on the fourth line of the page, the descent of our divine soul into this world is in order to engage in the animal soul, ulilachim ita, to fight with it, to battle with it, ulevara, and to purify it, ulahafrida toiv minara, to separate the good within the animal soul from the evil within it, ulaloisa lashem, to then lift it up to Hashem, lahafcha chashocha lenahira, and to transform it from darkness to light. The whole point, he says, of our divine soul coming down into this world, well, it's a piece of the divine. What's it coming down here for? Why is it in this world? It's to transform the animal soul through fighting it. Starts with a fight, but that battle turns to a separation of the good and evil within the animal soul. By separating the good from the evil falls away and the good is able to be lifted. And then the animal soul is transformed from its darkness to a place of light.
What do you mean it starts as a fight?
We're having a divine soul and animal soul both inhabiting one body. There's going to be a clash there. The divine soul wants connection to Hashem. The animal soul wants comfort and selfishness. You can only do one. We can't do both. Like, which way is it going to be? So there's going to be a constant battle. Who is going to be in control here? Is it my animal soul with its selfish instincts, or my divine soul with its selfless and altruistic instincts? One or the other. And so we're going to have a battle, which he's going to describe now, what that battle is and how it works. If we're going to skip a few lines, if you see where the red arrow is, we'll go there inside where the little red mark is. That's what it means. There's a verse, a well-known verse from Tehillim, from the book of Psalms, that says that the days of our years in them are 70 years, or by reason of strength, 80. 70 or whatever. So, so King David says that the days of our years in them are 70 years, or if you're strong, you live 80 years. So, but the wording is the days of our years in them are 70 years. In them, what's in them? The days of our years are 70 years. The days of our years in them are 70 years. Who's them? So says Alter Rebbe, Bohem Daika, not in them specifically, B'shtei Nefashis, in these two souls. The days of our years in these two souls, living within the world of these two souls, is 70 or 80 years. Shebechol Yom Hu Milchama Chadasha. Because, and it's Yemesh, the days of our years, because every single day is a new war, a new battle. There is going to be something today that maybe you haven't faced for your entire life, which will be your animal soul presenting what it wants, and your divine soul saying, no, that's not what we're doing, and there's going to be a clash. And every day there's a new clash, and a new battle, a new stage that you have to face and you have to overcome, and another lesson you have to learn, and another level of refinement and clarity that you need to develop for today. This is today's thing. It couldn't be yesterday. Yesterday had its own battle. Today you've got to do today's one. And because you did yesterday's, so you're ready for today's, and then you'll have another one tomorrow. Every day is a new war. And that's why people don't have the same lifespans. We don't all live the same amount of time in this world. Shezeh chai yosef, zeh chai pachas. Somebody lives longer, somebody lives less. It's all dependent on how much battle a person has to do with their animal soul. How much negativity does this person have to battle with? They'll be allotted that amount of days to do their work. Another person has less evil to battle, and so they'll be allotted less days, and they'll be finished their work. This, the Alter Rebbe says, this is our lifespan. Our lifespan is allotted according to how much negativity we have to work on. It's not our fault. This is our mission. Your mission is given to be this much. Some people have a longer mission, some have a shorter mission. Because it's divided by days. How many, every single day, there's something in it you got to clarify, it's something you got to elevate. And you're given the exact amount of days according to the animal soul that you've been given. So if somebody has a shorter lifespan, what does that say about them? They had less evil to work with. They'd finished their job in that amount of time. A longer lifespan means they had a bigger evil to battle with. They had more days that they had to work on. Who's a better person with them? It's not really to compare. A bigger evil means also you had a bigger divine soul to fight with that one, possibly. But each person is given specifically their allotted time, which this is your challenge. This is your battle that you need to fight. So this is why our soul came into the world. But now he continues to understand what this battle is. We're going to skip down to the blue arrow there. So what actually is the point of these two souls to come down into this world and fight with each other? Because even the animal soul, we said, where did it come from? It also came from the divine realm. So before it came down into this world, it was connected to Hashem. It was in the world of spirituality and it knew the truth. So then why come down to forget that and then send down the animal soul to remind it? And what, you just end up back where you were? Like what's the gain? What's the point of it? Leave the divine soul where it was in the pristine realms. Leave the animal soul in its source, which is also in the divine realms, and everything's clear and good. Why come down to mess it up and then have to fight to get it back? Why send the animal soul so far down to then you have to send the divine soul down to save it and to fix it and to elevate it? Just leave it. Leave it where it was. So to understand why we came down, we have to understand the battle that is happening, what it actually means, the battle between the divine and the animal soul, and when it happens. Hamavur b'Zoyar, which is explained, the Zoyar says a fascinating line. Shaita de krava, he shaita de tzloisa. That the time of battle is the time of prayer. The time of the battle between these two souls is the time of prayer. And the Zohar continues, Man dekata lechivya, yavin lebrata lemalka. That whoever kills the snake will get the daughter of the king. Dotzleisa, that's what davening is. Sounds like one of those medieval, those stories. So whoever kills the dragon, the snake, you'll get the hand of the princess. So the Zohar says that. That's what davening is. Davening is kill the snake, you get the daughter of the king. That is davening. Let's explain this. What is going on here? That in Psuke de Zimra, in the songs of praises, all the halalukas, the tehillims that we say in the preamble before we say the Shema in the morning prayers, what we're doing is we're killing the snake. We're trying to separate the evil of our animal soul away from its good. Our animal soul has an innate goodness in it, but it's covered over with these layers of evil, of selfishness. And during the Psuke de Zimra, the praises of Hashem, we're trying to separate out the two, to separate the negative away from the good within us. Like one of the lines we say in Pesukei Zimra, that the greatness of Hashem is on our throat. We're praising with our throat the greatness of Hashem, and a double-edged sword is in our hand. What's that double-edged sword? Shtei piyos, two edges of the sword. Lahalis atov lamaila, or lahafrid hara lamata. To cut off the good, that it should go up, and to cut off the bad, that it should go down. It should be got rid of. It's a double-edged sword, meaning it's got two directions that this sword is going. It's cutting off the good from the evil, so the good should go up and the evil should be pushed away. We know that evil can only exist because it's got a connection to goodness and to holiness. Evil on its own is nothing. There has to be a mix of good and evil. When we separate the two, when we identify evil from good, so then evil falls away because it's got nothing to hold it, and good can go up to its source, can be elevated. And this is what we're doing in all the praises of Hashem, all of the songs of praise that we're saying to praise Hashem. It's that our animal soul should recognize its true source, separate the negative from it, that it should fall away, and the good should go up. So how do we do this? How do we cut away the evil from the good? When a person contemplates, it takes always, like the Alter Rebbe always tells us, it takes contemplation. This takes thought, deep contemplation. When we contemplate, that Hashem gives life to everything, and He created everything. And everything really is nothing in front of Hashem. Nothing is separate from Hashem. We're all a part of Him. Everything is considered like naught. There's nothing outside of Him. Anything that we imagine being outside of Him is nothing. To you is the greatness and the strength, and everything is to you. That all of the attributes of the divine, anything that can describe Hashem, even that is just nullified to Hashem. There's just Hashem and nothing else. Nothing else really exists. And we quote the angels in our prayers that they say, Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish. The Hashem is holy, holy, holy. What does holy mean? Holy means beyond. Even the angels of the highest realm say Hashem is beyond, beyond, beyond. Whatever level you can imagine, whatever high spiritual level, Hashem is beyond that and beyond that and beyond that. Like our sages say in the Talmud, that any place you find Hashem's greatness, there you find His humility. Any description of Hashem's greatness, He's big, He's wonderful, He created the world, that's His humility. He's completely beyond this world. He's beyond everything. By describing Him as great, we're actually describing His humility, that He lowered Himself to create the universe. Because He's infinitely beyond this world. That even though Hashem is infinitely great, that greatness is actually a humility that He lowered Himself to connect to this world. We down here, we look at this universe and say, what an incredible universe, and what an amazing achievement to create such a universe and maintain it, and with all the details and everything. That's Hashem's humility, that He limited and finited Himself to be involved in such a puny, tiny universe. He is infinitely beyond it. If a person really deeply goes into that thought, like the Alter Rebbe always says, not a fleeting thought. You deeply think about the fact that this entire universe is nothing in front of Hashem. It's not even difficult for Him to create and maintain the universe. It's that what's amazing is that He limited Himself to such a thing, because He's infinite and the universe is finite. So when you deeply think about this and similar thoughts, the evil inside of you melts away completely. You're so far from evil when you're in that mind space, because evil is this petty, selfish world where, like, I'm worried about my, what I want, and I want to give myself pleasure and gratification, and I'm jealous of what that person. Where would all of those feelings be? What place do they have when you're contemplating the greatness of Hashem and how nothing exists outside of Him, and the whole universe is insignificant in place of Hashem's infinity? And that infinite Hashem created me with a purpose, wanted me, is interested in me. So now I should be chasing after these petty things that I'm worried about? I should be angry at somebody for some silly thing? Like it melts away. It doesn't melt away as we're talking about it now because we haven't done the contemplation. But if you really contemplate deeply into Hashem's reality and how everything is naught in front of him, and yet he created me and is interested in me and wants me to connect to him. So when you think about that, then all those lowly urges they fall away. They melt away. Yispardu kopali oven. All negativity just scatters. It's gone. So this is our work on our animal soul. We're working on our animal soul to try and lift it, to inspire it. How do we do that? By contemplating where do we come from? What is the reality of this world? Because the fact is that evil, sitra achra, the other side, the negative side, does not have any life force of its own. It just receives its life force from the back end of holiness. Meaning holiness is life, God is life. To be connected to God means to be alive. You can't have life force without being connected to God. But evil doesn't want to be connected to God, but then you can't be alive. So how does it get its life? Through the back door. That there's some leftovers, some offshoots, offcuts of the divine light that evil grabs onto and it gets its life force from there. If it's through the sins, the 365 negative commandments, when we sin, we give life to negativity. We give energy to the powers of negativity and evil in the world. And therefore, the powers of negativity are completely nullified to holiness, like the nullification of darkness when there's light. When the light comes, the darkness is gone. So too, when you reveal the true source of the life force of evil, which is holiness, it can't exist. When we shed light like that, so then the darkness disappears. But it's not enough. What we've done until now, this contemplation of revealing the true source of everything, which is Hashem, and nothing exists out of Hashem. What we've revealed is that darkness, evil has no place. We've separated it. We've said truth is goodness and holiness. Evil is non-truth, is darkness, is a lack, is a void, is emptiness. Now everything's clear. We've made everything clear. We've defined everything. The first step is to define. But that's not enough. We want to get rid of evil. We want to banish it completely. Not just scatter it away, but banish it completely so it should disappear. So he says, it's not enough to separate evil. We want to completely eradicate it. We actually want to transform darkness to light. We've separated them, we've defined it nicely, but now we need to take darkness and we want to make it light. We want to make it good, transform it and convert it over. And this happens when we say the Shema. The Psukkah de Zimra, the lead up to the Shema, was to separate evil from good. The Shema is to transform the evil into good. Like it says in the Zohar, that it talks about in the Torah about Pinchas, who took a spear in his hand. The spear to eradicate evil is Shis Teven the Yehuda Shabapasuk Shema Yisrael, in Klolos Ramach Teven the Kriya Shema. Em nikroim roimach. If you take the 6 words of the Shema, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and if you add that to the 248 words of the rest of the Shema, so 248 in Hebrew is Reish Mem Ches. The 6 words of Shema is Vav. Vav is 6. If you put a Vav in the middle of Reish Mem Ches, you get the word Romach, which is a spear. So the Zohar says that the 6 words of Shema plus the 248 words of the rest of the Shema, the first line plus the rest of the Shema, makes the word Romach, which is a spear. Just like a spear, it takes away the life of the person. So too, the power of the Shema is that it kills evil completely. It is a spear to pierce evil entirely. How? It's the words Shema Yisrael, Hero Israel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem our God, Hashem Echad, Hashem is one. So he says a fascinating explanation of this. Pirush Achar shenivru olam umamim shayach loimer loshen echad. Shepirushay Aleph Ches Dalid. Shu Echad Beches Bezayin Rekiim Va'aretz V'Dalid Dalid Ruches Olam. To say Hashem is one is only relevant after He's created the world. Why? Because the word one, Echad, it says, our sages say that when we say the Shema and we say the word Echad, we should have in mind that Echad is Aleph, Hashem is one. Ches is 8 in the 7 heavens and the earth, and Dalid is 4 in the 4 directions. So in the heavenly realms, on the earth, and in all 4 directions of the earth, Hashem is one. But you can only say that after there is a world. There's 7 heavens and an earth, there's 4 directions. Before the world was created, you can't say that. Only after the world was created, you could say that. V'chein l'mayla la'ach shenetzlo midas elyonis shaykh loim eloshen echad b'chin zayin midas igdolos v'ugav arura v'dalid chayis pnei arya v'dumus pneim v'yum yach l'hain shekulam b'telum elav yisparach. So in the spiritual realms, there are 7 emotional attributes, and then there's the 8th, which is the 4 directions of the world. Even in the spiritual realms, only after they exist can you say echad. But when Hashem was alone before anything was created, to say echad doesn't even make sense. But before Hashem created the world, there's just Him, there's nothing else. So he says here that the prayer Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad is saying the last part of it is Hashem Echad, that even though there's a world, there's a universe, Hashem is one. Hashem is still one. In the heavens and the earth and all directions, there's just one. There's just Hashem. That's how this world is. But the first phrase was Hashem Elokeinu. That's referring to Hashem as He was before the universe was created. Before the world was created, there was just Hashem. So in other words, there's 2 ways of looking at Hashem. There's Hashem as He was before the universe was created. There's just Him and nothing else. Then there's, even after the world was created, He is still just Hashem. Hashem is one in the universe. But our God, Elokeinu, our life force, is the first level of Hashem. We have access to Hashem as He is before the universe was created. Our connection is to the essence of Hashem that is beyond this world. Hashem Elokeinu, our God, is the first Hashem as He was before the universe was created. That's where our souls are rooted. That's where we're connected to. And we bring that unity into Hashem Echad, into this world, into the down here, into the world that is down here. But how do we get there? So he continues on the line that starts with Elokeinu Mamash. It's like 15 or so lines down. Elokeinu mamash is the first words of the line. V'anashama yardu mimakom gevaya kol kach chelik elokam mimakom namach ma'od. So if that's where our soul comes from, Elokeinu, that our soul comes from a place where there's just Hashem and nothing else, and it came all the way down into this world. Lislavish l'toich nefesh achiyunis. If that's how far we've come down, that should awaken in us a yearning to go back up, to reconnect to our source, to our ultimate source. What that arouses in us is a love and a yearning to go back up. If our soul remained up in heaven, so then we would have this, I guess, complacent level of connection to Hashem, where there's nothing else. There's nothing to challenge it, nothing to interrupt it, nothing to contradict it. There's just Hashem. That's where we were. By coming down into this world, our soul creates a yearning to connect to Hashem, an effort to connect to Hashem, something that comes from us. And that is even more passionate than had we never come down. The big mystery of creation is that disconnection, distance, darkness, all of these negative things, that's what creates a deeper yearning to connect to truth and to holiness and to light. If we never would experience the darkness, then we wouldn't appreciate the depth of the light and we wouldn't want it so much. You only want something because it's out of your reach, because you've lost it, because there's a challenge to it, because there's something in the way of it. If there wasn't anything in the way, so then we wouldn't yearn for it so much. We wouldn't look for it. So Shema Yisrael is contemplate Yisrael. Hashem Elokeinu. Your soul comes from that place where there's just Hashem and nothing else. And you've come into the world of Hashem Echad where there's all these interruptions that you have to try and connect to Hashem through. You have to overcome. That contemplation should lead to v'yohaftas Hashem Elokecha. You should love Hashem. Love, have a feeling, a deep, passionate love for Hashem because you're distant, because you're away from it. So, ironically, the divine soul, which is a piece of Hashem, comes down into a body to battle with the animal soul, which also comes from Hashem, but has lost its original nature. It's fallen down into this world, and it has these selfish and sometimes negative and evil urges. And these two souls are battling with each other. And on the one hand, we'd say, well, the divine soul, which is the superior soul, is coming down to fix the animal soul, which is the fallen, broken soul, the part of us that didn't get it right. That's on one level, and that's true. But on a deeper level, the divine soul is, if you'll excuse the term, a bit of a goody-goody. It's good, it's pure, it's always been good, it always stayed good. It's didn't lose anything in its journey from its source down here to this world. So it's pure but therefore it lacks a little bit of dynamism, of drama, of passion, of energy. It's good that was always good and stayed good, and that's all it was. The animal soul is the fallen holiness. It came from a very high place. It's fallen to a low place, but it needs to get back. And it creates the blockage, the resistance to the divine soul. And that resistance opens up something that the divine soul never really had on its own. And that is a feeling of dislocation and wanting to get back, wanting to fix myself, wanting to get to go back and to go higher, wanting to grow. The divine soul never really had that. And so in engaging with the animal soul, the divine soul is like opened up to a whole new experience of struggle, of overcoming something, of becoming something yourself, like creating yourself. We never would have had that. The divine soul never would have had that. And so there's a certain passion and energy that the animal soul has that the divine soul doesn't have. The animalistic nature of the animal soul means that it's got passion. Unfortunately, in our default state, the animal soul, its passion is for selfishness and negativity. But that just needs to be turned around because that's not your real identity. The animal soul also comes from a holy place. In fact, it comes from a place even higher than the divine soul. In Kabbalistic terms, the animal soul comes from the world of Tohu, of chaos, which preceded the world of Tikkun, the world of correction. The divine soul is the neat, clean, good soul. The animal soul is the rough, chaotic, raw soul. It comes from a higher place spiritually. It has an energy and a enthusiasm and a passion that the divine soul doesn't have. But only the divine soul can reveal that in the animal soul. The advantage of the animal soul is that it's got this passion. Its disadvantage is it's a fallen passion. It's not revealed. The divine soul doesn't have that passion, but the divine soul has clarity. The divine soul knows what's right, what's true. And so the divine soul can teach the animal soul who it really is. And the animal soul can give the divine soul the experience of passion that it never had. So this, the Alter Rebbe says, is a daily battle that every single day we're learning this again, and that's why we have to daven every single day because we have to first, in the beginning of davening, we have to separate out the two. We have to understand that there's good and there's evil, and my animal soul has negative urges and selfish urges that are inappropriate. I have to separate them out, and how do I do that? By remembering that all is Hashem, and Hashem is everything, and there's nothing else that's important, nothing else that I should be chasing after other than Hashem, because nothing else really exists. And so I separate out the two. And then when I say the Shema, I like smash the negativity of the animal soul with my spear of the Shema. How do I do that? By reminding myself that I come from the first Havaya, the Hashem as he is beyond this world. That's my true self. That's where I belong. And I've fallen down into this world, and the only reason I'm down here is to regain my connection, but not the same as it was before, not to go back to where I was before, but go even higher by becoming passionate in my relationship with Hashem. It's not my default self, my just like that's who I am, and that couldn't be any other way. It could be another way. I've fallen, so there's another way, and I can regain that connection with a renewed passion that only the animal soul can introduce. Only the separation from Hashem can introduce. So let's go the last part of the mimer here, where the green arrow is towards the bottom, the green little mark there. This awesome love, this passionate love, which is represented in the Shema by the words b'chol meidach, you should love Hashem with all your might. All your might means with your animalistic might, with your energy from the animal soul. Is way higher. This love is way higher than any love that the neshama experienced before it came out into this world. It's a bigger, more passionate, more energetic love, much more than the soul had before it came down. VBS says, it only comes through the elevation, the clarification of the animalistic, instinctive soul. Bitul harashaba, and nullifying the evil in it. Like it says, the pasuk says that we reveal the depths from the darkness. The depths of our soul is revealed from the darkness. Not in spite of the darkness, but from the darkness itself. That's where the real depth comes. Like it says that there's an advantage of light from the darkness. Not just there's an advantage of light over darkness, but there's an advantage of light that comes from darkness. The light that comes through and from darkness is a much more powerful light. As explained elsewhere. V'zeu tachlis yiridus Hashem b'olam hazeh. And this is why our soul came into this world. Levar laben harasha b'nefsha b'hamis, to clarify and purify the evil in the animal soul, b'chdei she'tagia la'av rabuzu, in order to reach a passionate love that couldn't have come any other way. That the divine soul never had this love, never had this passion, never had this energy. It only came through the tension between the two and then the turning around of the animal, that your instincts should be to love Hashem, that your animal instinct should be to love Hashem, to do the right thing, to be holy. That's something that the divine soul couldn't get on its own. And this works because the actual source of the instinctive animal soul is a very high place. Like in the Torah, it talks about kings of Edom, Edomite kings who descended from Esav, who were kings before there was any king in Israel. Before any Israel king, there was the kings of Edom. And in Kabbalah, it says that these kings represent the energies of Yaakov and Esav. Yaakov and Esav are like the divine soul and the animal soul. Yaakov, who is Ishtam, a righteous person. Esav, who is this animalistic, hairy warrior. They are the divine and the animal soul. And when it says that before there was any king of Israel, which is the divine soul, there was kings of Edom, which is the animal soul. What it means is that the source of the animal soul is higher than the divine soul. It's got a raw energy that precedes the power of the divine soul. And that's why only by coming down into the body and the animal soul can the divine soul experience this passionate love that it never had. But only through the divine soul can that be revealed in the animal soul. The animal soul is just an animal. It's instinctive, it's lowly, until the divine soul reveals its true nature, which is its inner core, which is higher than where the divine soul comes from. The animal soul has this higher source, but it fell down very far. But when the evil of the animal soul is removed, is separated out through the work of the divine soul, when we daven every day and when we face our challenges and when we introduce the divine soul's inspiration into the darkness of the animal soul, when we transform it, what automatically happens is you experience that dramatic, powerful, energetic love of Hashem, which is way more than what the divine soul experienced before it came down into this world. And with all this, we can understand what we began with. That's why the Torah says the firstborn child will come from the hated wife. That we've got two wives. We're bound up with two souls, the divine soul and the animal soul. The divine soul is the loved wife, the beloved wife. That's the holy one. That's the good one. And then there's this hated wife, this frustration that we have, that our downfall, our weakness, our dark and lowly side of our personality, the thing that's pulling us down, that we're struggling with. We've got this good, holy, righteous wife, and then this terrible, difficult, painful wife. That's the two souls. And yeah, we're all married to both of them. You can't avoid it. This is your lot. This is your being. This is your identity, having these two souls. But the Torah says, but you should know the firstborn will come from the hated. The double portion, the real achievement, the real purpose of your life is going to come from the frustrations, the darkness, the difficult side of you, the lower side of you. That's where the real work is, and that's where the real achievement is. The whole purpose of the divine soul coming down is actually as an accessory to the animal soul, to reveal the animal soul's true nature. And that will then give the divine soul an experience that it could never have. Shedafka menefesh abahamis, shisnua. It's specifically from the animal soul, which is our hated part, the part that is difficult. That's where the firstborn comes. And that's why it's called the first soul. And the divine soul is called the second soul. Because who's the firstborn? Who came first? The animal soul. Who came from a higher source? The animal soul. It's the firstborn. It came first. It was from the kings that ruled before the kings of Israel. And so only by embracing this battle can we achieve this. As long as we are frustrated by it, frustrated by our weaknesses and our lowliness and our constant uh, struggle, and why it can't just be easier. Okay, well, it can't be. This is what it has to be. If Hashem wanted easy, then He would have kept us as a divine soul in heaven, and it'd be easy and smooth. He wants something passionate and deeper than that, and it has to come from us, from our effort. So He sends down a divine soul into an animal soul in a body with those struggles, the two wives. One's beloved, one's hated, but the hated one is what's going to give you the greatest rewards. That's where the real energy is. Thank God for the battle. All right.